In this second video of the second part of the series The Evidence, the biblical signs of the end times related to the pre-tribulation will be discussed. Several biblical signs that are coming true will be explained, which confirm in a unique and unequivocal way, that we are in the end times. First sign. Be careful, because of fear many will be deceived. In Matthew 24:4, Jesus says to the disciples, "Take heed that no one deceives you." This is the first passage relating to the beginning of the pre-tribulation. So it is the first sign and indicates that the pre-tribulation has begun. Without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest deception of these times has been the vaccine. First they scared people to death, then they almost forced them to take a saving medicine that was seen as a totem. The people who deceived many presented themselves as saviors, just in line with the subsequent words of Jesus. Second sign. The gatekeepers. Jesus' words invite us to be careful about who we are following. Especially if we follow someone or something out of fear or interest, we are falling into a deception. Then we must change as soon as possible. In recent years, billions of people have followed the wrong advice of politicians, scientists, prelates and famous people. Today, because of that, millions of lives have been cut short prematurely and hundreds of millions have become ill. Corrupt politicians have led entire countries to war, many have listened to them and believed themselves invincible. Today cemeteries have no more space. Third sign. Then two men will be in the field, one will be taken away and the other left. One of the passages in Matthew 24, that has often been interpreted as the rapture to heaven, with this new vision, becomes something else entirely. Matthew 24:40-41. Then two men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. Two women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken and the other left. Sudden deaths are one of the most terrible signs of these years, and no one wants to take it into consideration out of fear. Immediately after the mass vaccination deception, millions of people died suddenly and unusually. In the biblical context, we speak of Noah where those in the ark were left, and the others were taken away by the waters. Logically today, it happens that those who are taken away, will die. Fourth sign. Wars. Wars and local conflicts are increasing incredibly in recent years. The forecasts are dire, because there is no will to mediate and make peace by the majority of political leaders. The increase in wars began in March 2022 in Ukraine, and will continue in 2023 with the conflict in Palestine. Myanmar, Sudan, Syria and many others contribute to the increase in victims. Fifth sign. Volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. In Matthew 24:7, Jesus prophesies about the last times and says, "There will be famines and earthquakes in various places." So one of the signs are volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. These three graphs confirm the increase in earthquakes starting from the year 2020. The first is related to the whole world, the second in Italy and the last is the exponential increase in Japan. This is the list of eruptions that occurred on Mount Etna in Italy since the 18th century. These data do not depend on the population, because Sicily has historically always had many inhabitants, who have reported the eruptions. Volcanic eruptions and earthquakes are on the increase. Since 2022, a notable increase has occurred with the eruption of Hunga Tonga, VE6, and subsequently Mount Ruang in Indonesia, VE4+, and Mount Sheveluch, VE4+, in Russia. Sixth sign. Famine. Mark 13:8. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be earthquakes in various places, and there will be famines. These are the beginning of birth pangs. Since 2020 we have seen a sharp increase in humanitarian crises due to famine. It occurs mostly in Africa but also involves European nations such as Ukraine and Middle Eastern nations such as Palestine. Seventh sign. The persecution of Christians. Christians are the most persecuted people on earth. From Wikipedia. The persecution of Christians is an oppressive phenomenon against communities and people of Christian faith, constantly increasing, in the silence of the world and with little attention in the media. Throughout history, Christians have been estimated to have died for their faith at around 70 million, of which 45 million in the 20th century alone. Persecution is also taking place in Western countries. Thousands of churches have been burned by vandals, especially in France and Canada. In countries like Ukraine, the Orthodox religion has been banned, and many priests have been imprisoned. Eighth sign. And they didn't notice anything. Today, no one notices what is happening, and especially, who is suffering. Often we help those who suffer only for our own gain or image. Few want to realize those who are suffering. An example of indifference were the last Olympics in France and the football championships in Germany. In Europe itself, not far away, a terrible and useless war was exterminating an entire population. Despite this, millions of people watched those events. Other wars in the Middle East are causing deaths and extermination, but the governments want to ignore it. For this reason it will be, as Jesus says, like in the time of Noah, they did not notice anything, until the flood came, and swept them all away. Ninth sign, the good news of the kingdom proclaimed throughout the world. This prophecy has not yet come true. Today the whole world is like a blind man. Everyone knows that something apocalyptic must happen, but they do not know what. When they realize that the return of Jesus is something proven certain, then the good news of his kingdom will be preached by every means throughout the earth. 10th sign. Abomination of desolation. This prophecy has not yet come true. In Matthew 24:15 Jesus prophesies, "Therefore when you see the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, whoever reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains." The reference to Daniel's prophecy does not refer to the period, but rather to the peoples who will occupy the Holy Land. So Israel will be defeated and occupied, as also prophesied by Ezekiel chapter 38. "In the latter days I will send you to my land so that the nations may know me when through you, O Gog, I will manifest my holiness before their eyes. But when Gog comes upon the land of Israel, declares the Lord Jehovah, my anger will blaze." In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus advises fleeing the cities and going to isolated places without looking back. This is one of the last prophecies of Jesus of the pre-tribulation, before the Great Tribulation. Of the 10 events described relating to the pre-tribulation, 8 are taking place before our eyes, while 2 has yet to come. This clearly indicates that we are in the pre-tribulation period. The pre-tribulation began in early 2020 and will likely last 7 years. The entire series of videos The Evidence has a very specific final purpose. To fully understand the latest clips, it is necessary to listen to the previous ones. In practice, it is a path that will lead the visitor to take note of future events and take the appropriate steps. So we invite you to follow clip number 10 of the series The Evidence entitled, Biblical Last Time Signs, The Great Tribulation.